The Arizona Cardinals and the Los Angeles Rams had outstanding 2024 NFL drafts, and they came away with the same grade. We're going to grade them and the rest of the NFC coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I am a senior draft analyst, and thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Guys, NFC draft grades, right? We're closing out this draft cycle, the 2024 draft cycle this week with a lot of reactionary things coming back from Detroit. Shout out to Detroit. It was a fun little trip, man, being able to be there for the first time and everything. But listen, we're closing it out, right? NFC East and West to kick it off. We're talking NFC South and the North, right? The biggest NFC takeaway from the 2024 NFL draft. But before we get into that, guys, today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. The Los Angeles Rams. Man, you talk about a draft haul, right? Round one, I'll tell you the grade first. A+ for them. Getting Jarrett Verse. This is the same team that last year had rookie Byron Young on day 2. And Kobe Turner on day 2, both have 8-9 sacks apiece. Okay, now you add Jarrett Verse, that another physical speed to power specimen that's going to be able to push the pocket and collapse the pocket. They have a pocket pusher on the interior. They have a speed and power pocket pusher on one end. And the same thing on now with Jarrett Verse on the opposite end. I love that selection. Just let the board fall to you, and that's what Les Snead and the Los Angeles Rams did. Getting Braden Fisk, I like the player. This was a little bit of a different fit for me. I would have liked to see a bigger, more stronger interior defensive lineman, better arm length to pair with Kobe Turner and everything. I think it was a little high for Braden, but I do like Braden. The arm length concerns me a good bit. He can get stuck on blocks at times, but high motor, super athletic, quick twitch. He's an outstanding talent. Like I said, it's just kind of some of the physical frame limitations that worry me. Getting Blake Corum, my RB2 in round 3 to pair with Kyron Williams. I know the fantasy community didn't like this as much because it's like, man, what are we doing? Like, you just had the top the number 3 rusher in the league last year in Kyron Williams. Why are we drafting another running back? I think it's more so, hey, man, let's take some of this workload off of him. I know it's great for fantasy, but it isn't great for the player if he gets, or the team, if your star player at that position gets worn down before the postseason. So I think Blake Corum can come in and take some of that pressure off, some of that weight off the shoulders. Getting Cam Kinchens, safety out of Miami in the 3rd round. I think that's good value. Pick 99. Brennan Jackson. Listen, me and Keith talked about a couple months ago. He was a deep sleeper in this class, a guy that can get after, another edge rusher. I also think he has kind of the frame, him or Verse, to kind of slide down and be a stand-up rusher over guards as well. Tyler Davis, another short arm, smaller interior defensive lineman. Just kind of go with the theme that they're running with here. But then Bo Limmer in the 6th, man. You know how much me and Keith really appreciate and love Bo Limmer's game. So they get an A+. Who else got an A+ in the NFC West? The Arizona Cardinals getting Marvin Harrison Jr. with the 4th pick. I told you guys, all that talk about trading out, it was never going to happen, man. I never moved them in any of my mocks. I kept them at 4, taking Marvin Harrison Jr. Getting Darius Robinson, the defensive tackle / edge from Missouri, to go in Jonathan Gannon's defense. I like that a lot. Max Melton, a guy that battled with Marv. They have so much respect for each other. This is one of my favorite corners on day 2. Physical, athletic, like he gives you everything you want in the outside corner, but he also can kick down into the nickel if you need him to. Getting my RB1 in the 3rd round. Talking about preparing for the future. Trey Benson, Mr. 439 at 220 pounds. I love this. Isaiah Adams, the guard from Illinois, improve this interior offensive line, right? Improve it. Get more physical. Become more of a bully. Bully ball. Let's get to it. Tip Ryman, I'm gonna say Tennessee, that tight end from Illinois. I love this as well, simply because again, I could see 12 personnel packages and then flexing out Trey McBride. Trey McBride has turned him, has developed into a stud, and I think we're going to see more of that. He's going to become an elite caliber tight end in 2024. Elijah Jones, another corner I really like. Dadrian Taylor Demerson, a safety I really like, to learn from a Buda Baker and can wear many hats and different hats. Getting Xavier Thomas, from Clemson, another speed ball off the edge, speed rusher, and then Christian Jones, offensive tackle out of Texas. He can sit behind Jonah Williams at that right tackle spot, whoever's at the right tackle spot, which I think is going to be Jonah, and they flip pairs to the left. You can let Christian Jones basically develop at that right tackle. I think this is an outstanding fit. So Rams A+, Cardinals A+. Love what both teams were able to do. The Seattle Seahawks came in with a B-, getting Byron Murphy the second to improve this interior defensive line. You got to love that. Christian Haynes in the third round to bolster this interior offensive line. You lose Damian Lewis. You have to get Christian Haynes. He's physical. He's athletic, quick feet, lateral agility. You love what you see from him. AJ Barner was a reach to me. I like Nehemiah Pritchett. Lumea, the guard from Utah, I think, again, it's just getting back to doing what they do. But then they double dipped at corner and got DJ James, the opposite corner of Nehemiah Pritchett. So, just adding depth to this corner room, which, playing for Mike McDaniel, you need to have depth, be able to play press man and do some of the things that they're able to do, right? Show some of those simulated pressures and different things. So I like what they did overall. It was solid. It was a solid B- to me. I feel like they could have, I think they could have gotten a better tight end in round 4. I feel like there were better tight ends available. AJ Barner is like a good blocker, but upside, the receiving ability is a lot of projecting for him. Now the San Francisco 49ers, and we switch over to the NFC East. San Francisco 49ers came in with a good B, a solid B, right on the head there. Ricky Pearsall, not Lat McConkey, but Ricky Pearsall in the first round. Renardo Green in the second round. Dominique Puny, one of the most versatile and athletic lineman in the 2024 NFL draft class. In the third, Malik Mustafa. Think about this, guys. Talanoa Hufanga and Malik Mustafa. First of all, elite name groupage, right? Elite name groupage there. But secondly, this is a physical safety group. They're going to punch you in the mouth. So when you've played the Niners, you already know I have to be ready for physicality, especially from their offense. They're going to run the ball. But now with those two safeties back there, when they're on the field together, you just better be prepared, because Malik is very willing. He's going to lower that strike zone. Somebody's chest is getting caved in. I'm just telling you right now. Some receivers, some tight ends' chest is getting caved in. I like Isaac Guerrero, the running back out of Louisville, getting him in the 4th, which is where I graded him. I love that. Jacob Cowing, I really like getting him in the 4th as well. That speed. So they added some speed threats, on the offensive side of the ball. And everything, man, and getting Renaldo Green, who I like a lot. Listen, he locked down Malik Neighbors. All right. This young man can play ball. Physical, press coverage, athletic, can run with almost anybody. Yeah, he's one of those guys. He's one of those ones. Now let's jump over to the NFC East, and let's go to the lowest grade. And that lowest grade, we're going to start with the lowest grade on this one. That lowest grade is going to be the New York Giants. B-, getting Malik Neighbors, Tyler Nubin, Andrew Phillips, corner out of Kentucky. Theo Johnson, who I like, Tyrone Tracy Jr. Let me tell you something about Tyrone Tracy Jr. I think before this year is over, I think there's a real strong shot. He is their next RB of the future. This young man is a wide receiver converted to running back. Absolutely love his skill set. And to get him in round 5, I think I gave him a 4th, maybe a 3rd round grade. Listen, I love this. I love that pick. That's the value pick you want, and especially the running back position. But get Malik Neighbors, wide receiver 1 for this offense. Tyler Nubin is a ball hawk at this in the secondary at the safety position. And Andrew Phillips and Theo Johnson, 2 guys who are developmental prospects. I think Andrew can play outside and play inside. So B-. I like what they did. Let's go over to the Philadelphia Eagles, getting Quinyon Mitchell, double dipping at corner. Quinyon in round 1, Cooper DeJean in round 2. Love that. They're perfect fits for this zone-heavy Vic Fangio system. So I love that. Jalix Hunt, edge out of Houston Christian in the 3rd. Will Shipley. I love this. Running back out of Clemson in the 4th. Anaya Smith, kind of do it all. Running back, receiver, getting Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Then getting Trevor Keegan and Johnny Wilson I hate to see Johnny Wilson fall that far. But at the same time, I think this would be a great opportunity for him. They got a B plus, man. I like what they did. I really like what they did. Improve this roster to go forth and try to win this division and be a power and be a perennial force in the NFC yet again. The same grade, like I said, B plus for the Eagles, B plus for Dallas, right? Getting Tyler Guyton, Marshawn Nealon, and Cooper Beebe all in the trenches with your first 3 picks. Listen, stock up for Dak and being able to protect him, but also get that run game going as well. Love the Kalen Carson pick. Great value at corner there. I would like to see another receiver, maybe earlier. Maris Lufau in the 3rd round. I would have rather gone receiver here. I'm not going to lie to you. They waited until 6th round and got Ryan Flournoy, which isn't bad. Good value for him there. Athletic young man, small school kid. But I just would have rather gone receiver a little early. But overall, I like what they did. And then let's close it out with the Washington Commanders. They got an A-, man. Number 1, you get your quarterback, Jaden Daniels. Jer'Zhan Newton, one of the highest graded defensive prospects in the class, and one of the highest graded prospects in the class for me. Mike Sanderstill, my guy, cornerback from Michigan. Getting Ben Sinnott, my tight end too, man. Tell Keith about it now. Tell Keith about it. He was not high on Ben Sinnott, but I think Ben Sinnott has some George Kittle in his game. Get Brandon Coleman, one of Keith's guys, to play guard more than likely out of TCU in the 3rd. Luke McCaffrey, feel like that was a little bit of a reach. I would have preferred a guy like, truthfully, I would have preferred a Troy Franklin or Javon Baker. I think those guys are better athletes and better talent, than Luke McCaffrey, but he's a good player. And I really like Dominique Hampton being a versatile safety, jack of all trades type of situation. The Washington Commanders got better, right? Improved the number 1 position in the sport at quarterback. I think Jaden Daniels is an absolute stud, but I love the Ben Sinnott add to this team and to this roster. They've needed a tight end, and they got that guy. So that's the NFC East and West. We have the NFC South and the NFC North coming up next on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You already talked about that, but there's so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete big albums for big prizes, or complete albums for big prizes. Cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent freezes. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now, free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Let's start with grading the NFC North, and we're going to start off with the Green Bay Packers. They got a C plus somewhere in there, man. I think they did solid. Getting some guys I like, Jordan Morgan, raw with the hands, gives up his chest a lot, but he's not playing tackle. He's going to play interior offensive line, in my opinion. I think the arm length that he has, sub 33s. I think he's like 32 and some change. Shorter arm guy. I think that he plays inside. Adrian Cooper, love this kid. If you've followed me on Twitter, I talked about it. I think we talked about him on the pod. I love what he brings. A jack of all trades type of linebacker that can do literally everything. Rush the passer, blitz, drop off in coverage, play the run. A linebacker with 34-inch arms. His arms are longer than the offensive lineman that the Packers selected in round 1. I love Adrian Cooper, man. Javon Bullard, another guy I think is just so underrated in this class, in terms of defensive backs, can play that kind of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson role, Brian Branch role, that hybrid safety, nickel, can play man-to-man, and he will come run down as an alley runner on underneath routes and literally thump, shoulder pad to chest. Like he will lay the hit, man. Marshawn Lloyd, I felt like there were some other backs here on round 3 that may have been a better situation, but I do like the player. I just think that it was a little bit of a reach. I think Tyron Hopper, I had him as a 4th round grade personally. I think he was a little bit of a reach, but athletic. That's 2 linebackers. Maybe we're looking at the eventual phasing out of Quay Walker, Evan Williams. Then they went and got my guy, Keaton Oladapo from Oregon State. So Evan Williams, Oladapo, I like what they did there. They got Michael Pratt in round 7. I think they did solid. It was a solid average class. I think you see a path for like the first 3 to be day 1 type of starters or impact guys. The rest is yet to be determined for sure. I mean, Marshawn Lloyd probably, behind Josh Jacobs, I think AJ Dillon. So we'll see how they implement him into the offense. I would have preferred like a Will Shipley there with his pass catching ability and route running. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions. Gave them a solid B. Going back to back, just like Philly, back to back at corner. Terrion Arnold in round 1, Ennis Rickstraw in round 2. Love that pairing for Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator and former defensive back himself. Round 4, they selected, I think it's round 3 or 4, they selected Giovanni Manu. I feel like that was a reach, man. There were other tackles available, and I would have liked to see an edge rusher here. Like, I wanted to see an edge rusher to pair with Aiden. Okay, like take some pressure off the man. He's an animal, okay, but give him another animal. Like, just come on, man. I just didn't appreciate going of developmental tackle right here where you definitely still need an edge, right? So Sion Vaki, a running back, safety, he's going to play running back. Makai Wingo, quick twitch, interior defensive lineman from LSU. Christian Mahogany, a physical road grader type of guard, who hasn't been the same athlete since he tore his ACL. But like I said, solid B for the Detroit Lions. And then we're going to get into Minnesota Vikings not having to trade all the way up, not having to get rid of their draft capital, right? What they still traded up, though. They gave away some, but they got J.J. McCarthy at pick 10, getting Dallas Turner at pick 17, I believe it was, getting Kyrie Jackson in the 4th round, getting a kicker, one of the best kickers in college football, Will Reichert. I think he's the leading point scorer for Alabama. Like, he was an outstanding kicker. I think that, they got a B+, man. Those 4 picks alone I really like, but again, the top 2, man, keeping those assets, getting impact players, getting your quarterback, and getting a legit. You lose Danielle Hunter, and truthfully, I think Dallas Turner reminds me a little bit of him. Danielle's a little bit more filled in and more dense and more muscular of a frame, but just explosive rushers. He's got a little bit of Danielle Hunter, Brian Burns to him. I love this. It's putting Dallas Turner with Brian Flores. Gotta love it. You gotta love it, guys. You gotta love it. Let's close out the NFC North with, of course, the champions of the NFC North in terms of the draft, and that is, and the offseason, probably the Chicago Bears, man. Chicago Bears getting Caleb Williams. We knew that was going to happen. Getting Roma Dunze at 9. Outstanding. Okay. Getting Austin Booker edge. One of my favorite edges, that I had I think late 3rd, early 4th on. Getting him in the 5th round. They move back up. Move back into the draft to get him. Love that. He can learn from Montez Sweat. But here's one of my favorite picks. Maybe my favorite value. Kieran Amagadeji, the tackle out of Yale. I know Braxton Jones has been solid, but I think this young man could be the future. So an A+ for the Chicago Bears, man. Getting Caleb, getting Rome, potential franchise left tackle, and another developmental edge rusher. I love those picks. Let's go to the NFC South. They get a C- for the Atlanta Falcons, man. Michael Penix Jr. was a reach because you just paid Kirk Cousins. And then here's my thing. You can say, well, DP, what if Kirk Cousins doesn't return the form? Well, you shouldn't have paid him the money you paid him. Okay, let's keep this a buck here, guys. Let's be honest about it, right? If you're not comfortable with where he is, you don't pay him that money. But nonetheless, I like Michael Penix Jr. Gave him a high 2nd, late 1st in terms of grade. I think that's where he was going to fall. And what did I say? I said we're going to get 6 quarterbacks off the board. I said he would sneak into the 1st. I didn't think he would sneak into the top 10. But nonetheless, shout out to Michael Penix. But again, let's go over. Round 2, Rook Ororo. Round 3, Braylon Trice. Round 4, Brandon Dorless. I love all 3 of those players. The fit for Rook Ororo is kind of confusing because they needed the edge. Now they got Braylon Trice, but I would have rather double dipped that edge than getting another interior defensive lineman, especially when you got 2, because that's what Brandon Dorless is going to play too. So it's just a little confusing to me on how they're going to handle the situation, who's going to play where and play when. I don't know, but and they traded up for Root too, so that's a confusing thing. You could have gotten another edge rusher, guys. You could have gotten another edge rusher, but yeah, overall, I think it's a C- until we see how that defensive line setup is set up. You know what I mean? Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers, also C minus, trading up, getting my guy Xavier Legette. Love that pick. I felt like trading up to get Jonathan Brooks was a little bit of a reach. I feel like you could have gotten him later. Also, I feel like you could have gotten Trey Benson round 3. I was just saying, like, there was a little bit of a reach, trading up. But I love the player, and Jonathan Brooks is really talented, really natural runner, footwork, patience, vision, all that good stuff, right? So good player, just a little bit of reach trading up for him to be the first RB off the board, right? Round 3, Trevor Wallace. Round 4, Jatavion Sanders, tight end out of Texas. Shaw Smith-Wade. Overall, I think it's a solid class. Would have liked to see an edge, like, because you have a needed edge. So, yeah, that's why I'm like, man, I would have rather, like, get Trevor Wallace on day 3 if you could, get Jonathan Brooks in round 3, and then use that second round pick. That's that second round pick for an edge, but nonetheless, solid, C minus for the Panthers. Then we're going to go to the New Orleans Saints, getting Talise Fuaga, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Spencer Rattler, and Bub Means. I think they did a good job improving the offensive line, adding another corner, and then getting a quarterback that, to me, this is a situation we fast forward 2-3 years, and he's the franchise quarterback. But we're going to talk about that on tomorrow's show when Keith returns. We're going to talk about that question, but we'll get into that. Solid, B minus for the New Orleans Saints. And let's close this thing out with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They get a B minus as well, getting Graham Barton in round 1. I really like the Chris Braswell selection at the edge, getting Tyke Smith, another safety nickel hybrid from Georgia. Jalen McMillan, man, I love this. Jalen McMillan and Bucky Irving. You get those two guys, man, back-to-back picks, man, 3rd and 4th round. I love this. Bucky Irving is a quick, agile, quick twitch route runner, space player that's going to make Baker Mayfield's life easy. I can see some 22 sets where you got both in shotgun. Is Rashard White, is Bucky Irving. You motion both out. You go empty, and now you get to pull some linebackers out into coverage. Man, let me tell you something. I love that idea. But Jalen McMillan, and with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Trey Palmer and Cade Otton, this offense, we got to see what happens with Dave Canales being in Carolina, how they, rectify the offense and the system. But I like what they've done. B minus. I like what they've done. We'll see. I think all of these grades, guys, all of these grades will improve. We'll come back in 2 years, regrade them. We'll do that, of course. But guys, we're going to talk about the biggest takeaway coming up next on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every single game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Again, that's $150 win or lose. Guys, you can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. So the question that I have for you is, what are you waiting for? Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win, because FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Guys, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Biggest takeaway for the NFC after the 2024 NFL Draft, I think it's simple. The NFC is going to be so much fun to watch. I think all divisions, for the most part, the NFC South is still probably the worst division in the league. All right, now until others proven otherwise, right? But looking at these divisions, right, I think the NFC West has gotten so much more competitive just on paper for what the Rams did, for what the Seahawks did. They were already competitive in that division, right? They made the playoffs 2 years ago, that first year of Geno Smith. But watching them improve their defensive line and things of that nature, then looking what the Rams did, looking at even the Niners, like getting the athleticism at the receiver position and even at the running back position that they were able to do, in the draft. But the Cardinals just getting more physical, getting an elite receiver, getting better on the interior offensive line, getting better on the defensive line, getting better in the secondary, getting better at tight end and depth at the position, right? And they still have Elijah Higgins. I forgot about that. So yes, this is a situation where, like, I think the NFC West is going to be an absolute slugfest every single game, long as depends on, teams stay healthy and coaches do what they're supposed to do. Man, I'm telling you guys, I'm excited for that division. I think the NFC East is going to be, like, it's always one of the more entertaining because of the fan bases and how much they hate each other. But I think talent-wise, man, seeing Washington with a real quarterback now, oh my God, that's going to be so much fun. Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry has a quarterback. Think about that, guys. Scary Terry has a quarterback. The Commanders have a tight end to develop and build up and build around. Oh my God, I love that, right? Man, the Cowboys getting better in the trenches. Let me tell you something. Cooper Beebe is a bully. Okay, that's a bully. They just signed Ezekiel Elliott back. Okay, so I'm telling you now, guys, I'm looking at this situation. You got Tyler Guyton, who's going to play left tackle over with Tyler Smith. So what? You have Brock Hoffman, I think, at center, which I like. I liked Brock coming out of college. Good player in my opinion. You have Tyler Smith at left guard. You have Cooper Beebe, who's going to part more than likely. Well, we might see it's either going to be Cooper Beebe, my bad, or Zach Martin playing center. But either way, like a situation where you're in three interior offensive linemen. It's Tyler Smith, Zach Martin, and Cooper Beebe. Sign me up for that. Right? Sign me up for that. And, just hope Terrence Steele takes a step forward. And then, of course, Tyler Guyton in the left tackle. I think they did a good job overall. Wanted to see him get another receiver, and then Philly getting two corners, man. Love that. Love it. Right? Gotta love that. I think that's a great, great haul just off, on its own. Getting to and then getting Will Shipley, outstanding value for that and what he's going to bring to this offense. Easy check down option for Jalen Hurts if teams are dropping off in the coverage and everything. And it's going to make defenses' jobs a lot harder defending them, man. I just think in the NFC North, my God, you know what I mean? Like Caleb Williams in Chicago, they're on the way. That's going to be must get. NFL, you drop the schedule next week, I think it is. Hey, I need some primetime games for the Chicago Bears. I don't want to hear any other talk about it. I need it, right? So looking at what they were able to do, man, in the draft, outstanding work for them. The Lions, did a good job with the first two picks, especially. The Vikings getting their number one edge rusher, getting their quarterback. Love that, what they were able to do there. And a new corner, right, for Brian Flores to improve this defense. They've always needed corner help. They've needed it for some time now. So getting a big, physical guy like Kyrie Jackson, gotta really appreciate that move, man. Oh man, like the NFC North guys. Oh, like Green Bay, like I said, I gave them a C, but they did some solid things, especially defensively, because they didn't have to get any more weapons. They got weapons last year. So overall, my takeaway is the NFC as a whole is going to be so much fun to watch, guys. But that's our show. We talked about the biggest takeaway from the NFC. Gave grades to the NFC South, NFC North, NFC East, NFC West. That is the NFC post-draft coverage. Listen, thank y'all for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Sorry for being our everydayers. Keith will be back with me tomorrow. We're going to get into what we did last year, right? After we saw where Bryce went, or after we saw where A-Rich went and CJ Stroud went and Will Levis went, we kind of ranked these guys. We're going to do that tomorrow, ranking them post landing spot. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.